written in the Bible. This secular history is just average people that are historians, what their research has shown, like archaeologists, things, people like that.
Yep.
And secular history is their writings and their what they have found out. In secular history and biblical history is found in the book of Acts in the New Testament. That whole book of Acts is a history of the establishment of the early church. That's the history of it, the history book of it. And the rest of it is letters written to the different churches about different things, about the different doctrine, about the gospel. And Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is telling the story of Jesus, his ministry, because they were four apostles that traveled around with him and heard everything, went everywhere with him. And he chose those 12 people deliberately because they had been with him from the very start of his ministry. They knew everything about what he preached and taught, and he taught them privately besides what we have written. So then he gave them the authority to go, and they wrote the New Testament, gave them the authority to go and preach it and to write it. So
what do you think made those people follow him? So
because he was a teacher, he was like a college professor.
I mean, like even when they, started to really ostracize him from, the society, where those people stayed with him, they followed, and then there were the ones that turned. What was his name? Judas. Even when they started depicting that, as that went down or whatever, there were still the ones that followed him die hard. What do you think made them do that?
Well, even Judas repented that he betrayed him. Judas
too little, too late.
He was doing it because he'd been dipping his hand in. He was the treasurer.
Yes, he was.
Been using that money, and he needed that to replace that money. But it looked like he would have known that they were going to kill Jesus when they got him.
He kind of went insane, didn't he? Didn't they drive him?
Yeah, he did.
Like the devil drove him insane?
Yeah, the devil made him do it.
The devil made him do it, yeah.
But he committed suicide after then, too. He threw himself down a hill and committed suicide.
Really? I didn't know he committed suicide.
Yeah, he did. He did. I can show you in the script. But what I was saying...
I knew he died. I didn't know he committed suicide.
But what I was telling you about a while ago, what we were talking about... historically and scripturally in the history of the church and the Gospels, the four Gospels, and the letters, all of the New Testament backs up what what our doctrine is, both secular history and the other. Well, in the process of time, the prophecies were that the church would have a falling away from the truth, and it did.
Sure, look at the Catholics.
Yeah, we got all these denominations. It's
about to be the Tower of Babel.
It is. It is spiritually called Babylon.
Yeah.
It's what's happening here in the United States, all these denominations.
But then again, wasn't Babylon supposed to be like the Hanging Gardens and the paradise?
It was beautiful. Nebuchadnezzar, the king Nebuchadnezzar, built those hanging gardens, and it was a beautiful city.
Yeah.
But that's where paganism, the worship of false gods, began. But it began way before Babylon became a city.
I think that's called Las Vegas, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of them here in the United States. The United States, to me, is a representation of Babylon. Our Christian heritage that we started with, we turned from that. When America was set up, she was like a young virgin.
I was going to say Sodom and Gomorrah, but I mean, Babylon works too, I guess.
Well, it's more Babylon, it's false doctrine. That's what Babylon represents, false doctrine. Sodom and Gomorrah just means that men, women,
you were messing up bad.
Yeah.
They were doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Yep. Now, actually, in Revelation, Jerusalem, Israel, the city of Jerusalem, is called Sodom and Gomorrah in Revelation.
And yet people make a Mecca to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Like that's part of their
holy city.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Because I've never heard a preacher preach that. Never. But it's in there. I've read it more than one time.
I think a lot of preachers look through, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament, not to actually literally deliver what it says and make sure that message gets out, but to use it in some way where they usually end up tying it into something else and using it to captivate their audience.
Yeah, and they follow their whatever church denomination that they belong to. They follow
their doctrine.
Yeah. And they're going to hold on to that doctrine because that's where they get their power from, their source from. I've got these licenses with this denomination.
I am ordained by God
Yes,
to speak in this way.
Yeah, because this man up here, head of this organization, gave me the papers. You see these papers?
Yeah.
This man gave me that.
I remember one of my art teachers telling me she was ordained by God as a minister, and it just striking me in my mind, I picture this mental, like you have to go and sit down with God and have a meeting, and he says, okay, you're ordained now, and that means you have certain responsibilities. It's like getting a promotion.
I think of it as he walks up to him, hits him on top of the head with a crown. You're ordained.
Yeah, now get out there and do something. Get busy.
What true ordination is that God has given them the mentality up here with his scriptures.
The third eye.
To tell other people. But he's given it to them.
Sure.
They've got it. And to say that they are ordained of God don't mean nothing unless God has really put them scriptures in their brain.
Well, we are born with our spirituality. We develop it through religion.
You develop it. But they have a hunger. Somebody that's ordained of God, they have a hunger to find out this information, to find these things out.
Yeah.
It's not satisfiable. They got to keep digging and keep finding out. And that's the way I've been all my life.
Sure.
I started as a child. When I went to church, and all my little friends, we were the same age. We all went to whatever church was closest where we lived. That's where we went.
Church is church at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we all went just to socialize with each other. That's what we went for. But
as most children do.
Yeah, but in the going to the church, well, our teacher, our Sunday school teacher, or some of them, they'd start talking to you about, don't you want to please God? Well, you need to go up there and give your heart to the Lord. And they'd give the altar call. They call the altar call. Does anyone want to come to the Lord, to believe in the Lord? Well, all my little friends, they'd tra-la-la up there. And they'd pat them on the back. Do you believe? Yeah, I believe.
Here's some grape juice and a cracker.
Yeah. They'd come back and sit down, and I knew they wasn't no different than they
You are lying!
went up there.
That's not what Jesus meant.
Yeah, and I thought, now, if there is a God, if there's a God, when I was a child, I didn't know whether there's a God or not. I said, now, if there is a God, there's more to it than this. This ain't nothing. Mm-hmm. You just went up there, and they patted, and I knew that's what they did it for, just to please the teacher or the adult that had been talking to us. Sure. Then they'd ask me, Elizabeth, you don't want to please the Lord? And I'd shy away, and I never did go up there, because if there was a God, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And then as I grew older, and I got to be 15 years old, and I started going to the church, it was a Pentecostal church, mm-hmm. They had the Holy Ghost. They had something that was different, and they preached it. And I accepted that because I had something that showed that there was a God. Because I know I didn't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah, that's what tells me there's a God.
Yes.
Is when I look around at all the things that are done or that exist that I cannot do. That is proof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flowers, trees, babies, puppies, butterflies,
clouds,
rainstorms, rainbows.
stars.
Yeah. There's a God.
Yeah. But even then, I wasn't convinced with that, because I thought, now, nature can do all those things. This
did
happened.
God not create nature?
Then I wondered, how did it get to be, though? What's beyond the beyond?
The divine.
So there is a God there. And even Einstein, the brightest...
he was a genius.
He was a genius. He said there has to be a greater mind that did all this, because it's impossible for these things all come about.
Yes.
He said it's too organized, too planned.
That whole Big Bang theory is just a theory.
Yeah, that's just a theory.
I believe in divine design, where our design is our divinity.
Yeah. There's something beyond the beyond the beyond the beyond. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we'll ever know, because I don't think our mind can.
We're not meant to
comprehend.
We're here to learn things. We're here to learn things about being good people.
Yeah.
How to
and
control our free will in such a way.
Those scriptures are written to us through men by God.
Well, I think the whole Bible thing is a great acronym. Bible, Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth.
It means books.
Get your shit
Yep.
together.
Yep.